And today I am really pleased to have with me Dawn Apuan. She is a copywriter and funnel strategist. Dawn provides excellent copywriting and funnel strategy for her clients, both as a done for you and a done with you environment. She is a highly skilled copywriter and funnel strategist that knows all about confidently owning your corner of the market. And what's interesting about Dawn is that she considers herself an accidental entrepreneur, where she found her passion for copywriting after a few jobs working as an affiliate marketer and a VA tech for sales funnels. These days, she can help people make sales within 24 hours thanks to her copy. And she says that she 10x'd her income by zeroing in on a perfect target audience. Now she shares the importance of finding your business's niche and creating the perfect elevator pitch to appeal to your ideal client. Dawn also considers herself messed that up just a little bit, but that's okay. It's live. Dawn, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Jeff, for having me on.
So, Dawn, we talked a few months ago. You were a guest on the One Big Tip podcast. You have an episode coming out this Friday, which is going to be really cool. It's going to be epic. We have some show notes and some quotes that we got out of the show. Can you please take a few minutes to remind everyone who you are and why you are amazing?
Why I'm amazing. Yeah, my name is Dawn. I'm a copywriter. I'm in the opposite corner of the country than you, here in Seattle. And as you mentioned, I consider myself an accidental entrepreneur. I didn't start out copywriting, although I will admit that I've always had a love for writing. I often share my nerd moment of childhood when I was turning 10 and all I wanted for my birthday was a desk so I could write my stories. So I have been writing for a lot of years, but it wasn't until about 2 years ago, maybe a little less, that I learned what copywriting was. And I was like, you can get paid for this? Like, that sounds fun. And that's when I started narrowing it down. As you mentioned, I started in affiliate marketing and I was a VA tech. So I was building funnels because when I learned to be an affiliate marketer, I got one of those $99 courses to start me out that taught me how to build funnels and run Facebook ads. And so then I was doing tech work, but I was noticing that the copy just wasn't very good on people's funnels, but I was just the tech. And so I wasn't allowed to change the copy. And that was really painful for me. So that's the point in my business when I shifted really completely to copy. I do still build for people if they need the actual funnel built. But a lot of times I'm just writing the copy or I'm fixing the copy when they've paid somebody else to build the funnel and it's not converting. So I come in and fix it so that they start getting those sales usually within 24 hours. And I consider it kind of this like little challenge every time. And I just love it. I love getting to write the copy that I know is going to sell. All of my clients are incredible entrepreneurs solving problems. And that's what I'm so passionate about and why I do what I do. Like, yes, I love writing. Yes, I'm good at it. But really at a deep level, I do it because I know we're making a difference in the world. And if I can help entrepreneurs sell more, get more clients, all of those things, then we're making the world a better place. So that is why I do what I do.
There is so much to break down in what you just talked about. And I think one of the principal items that I'd like to clarify here is the lost art of copywriting, right? And it is, the power of words to convince somebody to whip out their credit card and purchase something, right? And that's really, that's really a gift. Not everyone can do it. I mean, I always joke like, yeah, I read and write English at a high level. Right. But, in order to actually write the copy that gets people to do it, it's like, yeah, that, I would naturally go to someone, to someone like yourself to help me out with that, simply because what would take me 2-3 days of testing and writing and hating and then rewriting and all that is something you'd be able to, push out there as well. Can you talk a little bit about why copywriting in your mind is so powerful, right? I think that's something that, when people are putting together websites, or they're putting together their e-commerce stores, or they're just trying to sell something, right? It's not necessarily an overabundance of words. Sometimes it's even, the most concise and succinct, words that you put on the page that actually helps the sale, as opposed to, drawing out these huge, long explanations. How does that look like in your world?
Yeah, such a good question. So the first thing that comes to mind is really defining the difference between a wordsmith and a conversion copywriter. So lots of people think about copywriting as wordsmithing, and that's just getting the words on the page. Like you said, getting a bunch of copy out there, whether it's an email, whether it's your website, having the words there. But conversely, I talk about conversion copywriting, which is actually the words that inspire people to take action. So you're getting that conversion. You're getting them to opt in for your freebie. You're getting them to purchase whatever it is that you're buying. Or if it's your website and your goal is to book a call, then you're getting them to book a call. And so that's where I see the difference, and where a lot of people think, oh, if I just write something, if I just get something on the page, then people are just going to flood my website, buy my stuff, I'll be a millionaire. And that's unfortunately not really how it works.
Build it and they will come does not exist anymore, right?
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't. Just because you have a funnel in place does not mean that you are going to have $1 million soon.
Right.
That's something that really frustrates me about the funnel industry. Even, I'm sure there are some good agencies out there, but honestly, I've fixed a lot of agency funnels who have copywriters on their team, but it's not the same. Really good copywriters, generally speaking, are probably not working for an agency. And I really feel really bad because clients come paying. I've had multi 5-figure funnels that have come to me because they're not converting, and I fix them. And I just feel really bad for them.
All right. So that brings up an interesting point. What do you think is the difference, or, what differentiates, some people would say, like, geez, I'd like a 5-figure funnel any day of the week. Right. And you're like, oh, this thing sucks. I got to improve this. This has got to be 6 figures or more. What's the difference? Like, what's the tipping point from a 5-figure funnel to a 6-figure funnel? I mean, or even a 7-figure funnel. Like, how does that work in your world?
Yes. Good question. But what I meant is they paid 5 figures.
But they paid 5 figures
for the funnel. But the difference is generally traffic. So you're looking at a lot of things. You're looking at the traffic that's coming in. So is it quality traffic? And then you're looking at your conversions. We have like standards that you're looking for: conversions for the first sale. We have conversions for the bump, conversions for the upsell, and a certain statistic that you want to hit. So, I have a client right now that we're above all of the considered like really good for those conversions, and we're at least 5% above on every single one. So that's what you're looking for. And then, once you have figured out the funnel, then really it's just what you're putting in the front end, your traffic, you just multiply that. But, multiplying bad or zero is just zero. So That's why when you start with a funnel that's not converting at all, it doesn't matter how much traffic you bring into it, it's not converting. But when you have a funnel like my clients right now that she's just launching this week, everything is dialed in now. So basically now she can expand. And that's when you can increase ad spend. That's when, things really get fun, because they can become, the 2 comma club, that dream of having a funnel that makes $1 million or more. So that's the difference, is really looking at each piece and making sure that you're actually converting well each step of the way, because it's a whole process. And I look at that because I build funnels and because I've run Facebook ads. I can look at every single piece and say, okay, here's your hole. Like, this is where we need to fix. People are dropping in the ad, or people are dropping with the upsell. And so, that's where the strategy side of my brain comes in, because I want to maximize, every single one of those steps so that we're making the most possible.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that makes sense. Now, when you're putting these together, like we're not necessarily just talking about straight pages that are like, here's my offer, here's the buy now button, here are testimonials, here are my social proof, here's another buy button, right? A lot of times there's a lot more that goes into that than just, putting those specific elements onto a sales funnel page. What would you characterize what would you say is a, is a good framework for putting together a sales funnel page for a particular industry? And you choose the industry, because I know it's different for a lot of them. But really what I'm trying to get to here is what would you say are the useful aspects of a good sales funnel, the structure of it, and and as it pertains to the copy, to make it to make it really functionable and profitable.
Yeah, great question. So the profitable side comes in really in the later steps of the funnel. So usually people will call it a slow funnel or a self-liquidating offer, because you want there to be other steps. So the truth is, selling a $7 ebook on the front end is not going to make millions. It's like, that's just the beginning of it. And that's a mistake I see a lot, is that they've not built out the strategy beyond what brings people in. So yes, have a small offer that's somewhere from $7 to $37 at the front end, but the thing that's making you money is not the front end. It's really the bump, it's the upsell, and then usually the upsell on the upsell, later on. So once you have, let's say a basic funnel has, your initial baby offer or tiny offer, whatever you want to call it, with a bump and then an upsell. And then from there, those are all qualified buyers. So from there, you'd be then offering, I work with a lot of coaches that have courses and different programs. So let's say it's one of those. And once they've already been in your world, they've gotten a ton of value from your cheap product, like $37. That's when you invite them into either a group coaching program or maybe a high ticket course, $2,000 or $3,000. You'll always want to launch that. That's not just in email, but the idea is that when these buyers are on your list, that they're more qualified buyers than just somebody who's opted into your list for a freebie. So that's really the gold of funnels is, and where I help clients is to go from that baby offer all the way to high ticket. So selling $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 programs, all the way up to like $15,000 programs from a front end small offer. So that's the idea for me, and where you really maximize your profits later on is converting those people. They fall in love with you really with those little products that are massive value. And then later on, they'll want to join your higher ticket items, your programs, and even one-on-one coaching. That could also be one-on-one. So that's the vision behind funnels, not just selling a $7.
What's interesting is that I'd say a lot of us get inundated with these ads for what you're calling the baby offers, right? Download my free ebook or get my or get my my lead magnet for $47, whatever it is. And really, what people miss, or it's and not that it's hard to miss, because what happens is that you generally don't see what the next steps are unless you proceed through the process, right? Unless you first pay for their small offer and then you join their group program for $4.95. And then from there you're hit like, okay, let's do one-on-one coaching, which is going to cost $2,000 or more, right? How do you help consultants and that want to push those push those higher ticket offers and actually get them to understand that you can't necessarily just start out by saying, okay, here's my $5,000-$10,000 program. Why do you feel that the smaller offers help butter them up as opposed to just bringing them in and saying, look, why don't you just take the big offer?
Oh, this is such a good question, because I have a great example of somebody who did not follow my advice and didn't sell any places in her program recently. And here's the thing. There's a couple of things that come into play here. People are afraid, especially when it has to do with money. They're afraid of making a foolish decision with their money. So even on a small, what I consider a baby offer, which is like up to $37, I still have pretty lengthy sales pages for those. I mean, there's 16 sections to the standard sales page. They may not each be as long on a sales page for a baby offer as for the big, $3,000 to $5,000 offers, but they're still there because you need each of those parts because people are afraid. You have to overcome the fear of feeling or looking foolish for spending money, the distrust these days in the online world because everybody calls themselves a coach or an expert or, there's a lot of that. So people distrust. They're also afraid that they can't do it. So there's a massive objection to overcome. Not that people necessarily say it out loud, but that they're afraid, they don't believe in themselves to actually get the results that you're promising with your offer because they realize at some level that they need to do something, right? Like any kind of an offer that's that big, like a course, obviously you need to listen to the tutorial, the videos, and do the coursework. Or, if it's a coaching program, you need to be coachable and you need to do the things that you're told to do. So, people might read a lot of social proof, and the thing is you have to get them to believe in themselves that it can happen for them too. So, and part of that fear is that you help overcome is when you give, say, a $37 offer and you blow them away with the content. I mean, I bought a $5 book and then I ended up buying a $2,000 course from that person because the $5 book had so much value. So, and there's an example of like a really big gap. She does have incremental steps also. She has like mini courses and stuff. And I just like went all in. But, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I had made that decision even before she launched. But there's another example of, I probably wouldn't have done that if I hadn't have gotten the book and gone through the book and had like massive value. There's other courses where I've done every single step and I've gone all the way to, like the 5K program because I did 37, the 97, the 297, like I've done each of the steps as well. So again, and in those, I made the decision because I was like, wow, they gave so much value for $37. Imagine what their 5K program is going to be like. So that's the thinking is when you give so much value and you're just showing up and being consistent, that then people are willing to invest higher because they trust you. Whereas if you just give a freebie, if you're just emailing your list for, in this recent example, she had a $1,000 program that she was emailing a list from Facebook ads. So a colder list, what I would consider then an organic list. And didn't make any sales. And it was no surprise to me because usually you have to at least have a challenge, a webinar, like something in front of a higher ticket offer. Even if you've, warmed them up with these other smaller offers, anything that big, people really need. I mean, it's their hard-earned money. So you really need a lot to help them take that step.
What's interesting, what you were talking about is, building up that trust, right? So I assume that the person that you bought the $5 book from and then jumped to the $2,000 product, like there was already a certain degree of trust, in there that you're going to give them, that money, and that's going to, you knew you were going to get blown away by the value, right? Mm-hmm. What happens though when something like that doesn't necessarily come to pass, right? I mean, one thing is a high rate of returns, refunds, right? But there are some things that you can do to mitigate that, right? Yeah, I mean, it's not just it's not an all or nothing. Obviously, a lot of us are selling products and services. So, you can't just go and, like at Walmart, go refund it and get your money back. What would you say are some of the ways that you could fix a funnel that is underperforming or that needs a little bit of triage in order to really get it to perform well?
Yeah. So the first thing I look at is headlines, subheadlines, the bullet points. So a lot of copywriters will talk about looking at results and benefits. It's funny because when people write their own copy, they're usually like really, really focused on features. Like it has 8 modules with 29,000 videos and 15,000 PDFs. They list like everything. And yeah, you need to have the details of your program, but that's not why people buy. People aren't like, ooh, I want a course that has, 150 hours of video training. Like nobody walks around looking for that. They want the result from the course or program. So that's a big mistake I see. So when I'm looking at sales pages and fixing funnels, I mean, obviously I'm copy focused because I've seen it time and time and time again. You change the copy and sales just start like almost immediately. So changing, like I said, the headlines. And then where it comes to being results focused is also focusing on emotions. And that's something that I don't often hear copywriters talking about is the emotional side. People buy on emotions and then we support it logically after. But we buy on emotion. So if you can get your person to feel, and you want the whole roller coaster of emotions. If you think about a movie, the hero's journey, you're excited, you're frustrated, you're sad, you're angry, like as they hit the trials, the challenges, the points in the story where you're like, oh, are they going to make it? Are they going to survive? And then of course the triumphant end. And so your sales page really should take the person through that journey because you're talking about their pain. You're also talking about the challenges they encounter on actually getting the result they want. You're talking about the aspiration, painting that picture. Again, that's all emotions. So if you can get your person, your ideal client to feel the way you want them to feel as like once they've gotten your solution, if they can feel that while they're on the sales page, they're going to buy. So that's the key for me when I look at funnels and I'm looking at copy that's usually missing is the emotion behind it, like really pulling people in with that. And then headlines. I mean, I've had sales increase 30% from just a headline, leads triple from changing the headline, nothing else. So those things matter. They really, really do. It used to be that we had 6 seconds to get someone's attention. Now they say you have 3. Which is your headline. So I always say spend 90 to 95% of your time on copy just on your headline. People always laugh and they think I'm silly for that, but I say it because
for the top 15 words that are on a page, right?
Nobody does it.
No, but it's cool because, like a lot of these, even the formulas that they give us, like I help, X achieve Y, right? And even something as simple as that, just filling in those 2 blanks, can really make a huge difference because, like I've worked with people that it's like, so tell me what you do. And then they go into this whole big discussion. It's like, I'm sorry, you lost me. Can you please just tell me what it is that you do?
I have to tell you about one client of mine who is exactly that.
Tell me, this is going to be funny.
He had, it's great. He had 400 pages of notes. 400 pages. I'm not even kidding. He's like, I've been working on this business for 2 years, like working on it as in like working on getting it launched and getting it together. And he's like, I just have so much information. And then he had his I help statement and he's like, I got it down to 42 words. I was like, okay, let's hear it. And I mean, as you know, that we talked about before, 10 words or less, because our brains do not have the capacity to remember 42 words. And so he gave it to me and I said, so what you really do is, blah, 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 blah. I said 7 words. And he goes, yes. Like, how did you do that in 3 seconds? So 2 years, 400 pages of notes. I got it down to 7 words and he was very happy.
What's interesting is that some people really need it, right? I mean, I can tell you for myself, like, when I put together, these types of projects, right? For me to do it for others, yeah, I can crank it out pretty quickly. Doing it for myself, God, kill me now. Right. It's like, please,
Yep.
I can't, it's like, I can't even imagine how I'm going to get these words out. Yeah, some people have problems with self-promotion. They have problems with articulating, what it is that you do. I used to have that problem, for example, with my resume. My resume back in the days when we used to use resumes, right, used to be 4 pages. And I would say, and the issue was, like, say, every once in a while I'd get feedback and it would be like, no, you gotta get that down. I'm like, but how? Right. And it wasn't until I went and hired a professional resume writer at the time to actually get that, to get that down into something so concise that it was like, okay, here's what you need to focus on. You need to focus on what the result you are going to give is, not necessarily what you do. No one wants to necessarily hear your life story. They want to hear about how you got there. They want to know, they want to hear about how you gained the authority, how you came to find out about it, and then go over and, and teach others how to do it. Right. But, the fact that you went to Brown Deer High School, back in the day, it really isn't that interesting for most of us. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say that most copywriters I talk to hire somebody else to do their copy. It's really hard. So even for those of us who are copywriters, it's not easy to do our own copies. So don't feel bad that
I
you
think that
struggle with
quote
your own.
alone is gold. Even a copywriter will hire a copywriter to do their own stuff, right? Because it really is that. You really can't just articulate, well, I can figure out my own stuff. It's like sometimes your head is so far in the weeds, you just can't
Mhm.
get out and show people that, right? And then you have to come up with these other ideas on how are you going to make this work, for yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to promote your services as well. So that's a really good question then. Uh, how many times have you hired a copywriter for your personal stuff?
For my own stuff? That is a good question because I actually haven't often done it, only because I've been in programs where there's been a copywriter. So I guess kind of hired because I was in a group coaching program, or my one-on-one coach also had a copywriter on her team. So I've done that, goodness, at least 4, 5, 6 times. um, in different masterminds because I'm always learning. I'm a course junkie and I'm always in masterminds. It's who we surround ourselves with.
Course
But a
junkie.
lot of
I
those
didn't want to say those
programs.
words in this
Uh-oh.
in this program, but you actually hit it, because what happens is that sometimes people actually, they end up being course junkies, right? Because
Mhm.
you can spend money on the program, and you actually hit on this earlier. If you don't do the work, then what good is the course going to do it? It's like, unless you're hiring someone to do it for you, right?
Mhm.
Which is what, but at that level, if you're doing it for them, that's actually a much higher price point than just telling them how to do it or to do it with them, right? But
Mhm.
to actually go in and do the work, sometimes that becomes this really massive, like, I wasn't expecting to do all that work, right?
Right. And so many people struggle to get past the blank screen, or struggle, just to get words on the page to sound good or to express what they're talking about. And, on that note, within courses, I've noticed there's such a variety of how people support with copy. So in group coaching programs, so whether it's like once a month they get to, do a copy hot seat, or they get to one time submit their copy for a review. I remember one program I was in, that was not a good investment. But anyways, I got to submit my copy to someone, like everything, website copy, funnel copy, everything. And all she gave me back was that it looks good. I think she told me to italicize one line, and I was like, of all of this copy, that's really what I paid you for? Like, so anyways, that was not the best program ever. But I've been in other programs where, like, for example, I have been hired for a group program where I go every single week and give copy hot seats. And so in that scenario, that's like a really high level of copy support. And I give that to my clients as well. You're getting it every week. So, you might be working on an email that week or your website, or, we are constantly writing copy. That's the reality. We're constantly doing it. Your message is going to morph a little bit over time. So to really just have someone to bounce ideas off of, I think exactly what you were saying, like we get in the weeds in our head. And so even to just be able to bounce that off someone regularly can help improve your skills and can help just move you forward so that you're not just getting stuck all the time. So
Exactly.
that's something that I really enjoy doing for people who, like you said, can't necessarily invest in a copywriter. It is definitely a big investment gap between doing copy with someone versus just paying for someone to do it for you.
I want to. We were talking a little bit on the pre-call about the VIP program that you're working with right now, and I didn't want to steal your thunder on it. I was wondering if you can go into that a little bit on how you came up with that idea, how it's structured, and how people can get involved with that as well.
Yeah, so I came up with it because I wanted a mix. So as a copywriter, I do a lot of my work usually on my own, right? Which fits when you have a toddler and you're working weird hours. But I still wanted to work directly with clients, and I could get childcare, say 1 day a week, to do VIP days. And we talked about the one-liner and messaging, and that what I started seeing is that I could create copy for someone's sales page or for their funnel, for example, but when their overall messaging was confusing, they still weren't as successful as they wanted to be. And so that's why the VIP day was really this like beautiful combination package where they spend the morning with me. We go over messaging. So we create the one-liner, and then we create a fuller intro. So like a media bio type thing, 3 to 5 sentences. And then in some cases, also a tagline for their overall messaging. Like this is their entire brand messaging that we work on together. And then after that, we also usually do some marketing strategies. So where are the best places for them to show up consistently and how to do that. And then the second half of the day, I do done for you copy. And it's not, because it's the VIP package, it's not like investing in the whole project. It's not as much of an investment, but they get to choose their highest priority. So I've written website copy. I've done a launch email sequence. I've done polishing of a sales page. I can't get an entire sales page done in a couple hours. That would be really amazing. But I could get a lot done. And I've done a whole lead gen funnel in that amount of time. So like a landing page opt-in, and then the following page, which was actually a book a call page for quite a few clients that were offering like coaching or consulting services. So that way they get a combination. They get the foundation, which is the messaging, which you really need before you hire a copywriter. And then they also get copy. So that's why I love them. And I love getting to actually work with clients. Like I said, a lot of times copy, we're just doing it by ourselves. We're all alone writing words. But as a former pastor, and I think I love actually getting to work with people and see the light bulbs in every single VIP day that I've done. I've been doing them for, I guess, 7 or 8 months now. These light bulbs just go off. Like you said, they're in the weeds. And so when we get this focused time where it's just me and the business owner and we can dive into messaging, like these light bulbs go off and they get so excited and they're like, oh my gosh, I finally know how to say what I do. And I love that. I love what comes out of those VIP days. So it's a really fun way for me to work with people.
Amazing. What would you say is your favorite software for building sales funnels? Is it on WordPress, ClickFunnels, Klaviyo? Like what? Do you work with all of them? Like, how does that work for you?
Great question. So I do know about 10 different platforms, just out of necessity, because I wish I could only work with one and tell all my clients like, oh, you have to be in this one. But it doesn't work that way because a lot of clients come to me and they already have stuff in ClickFunnels or Kajabi. Those are probably the two most popular ones I run across. Personally, I use drop funnels and I love it. It's built on WordPress, so it's super fast, and it's drag and drop. So it's like I can put together a funnel in minutes, to have just like the basic put together. The copy, yes, takes a little longer, but honestly, the tech side doesn't really matter except for the ones that are really slow. So if your page loads slow, that's a problem. So something like, I know a buddy of mine runs an agency and he transferred all of his clients. He actually forced them to switch from ClickFunnels to drop funnels. And just doing that all like across the board, leads and sales increased 30% because like the only thing that's different is page load speed time. Like the funnels were identical, but it was just the platform they were built on. So in that respect, I prefer the faster ones because I know that they're going to convert better. But I don't force my clients to change, especially ones that have like courses in Kajabi, because that's a big headache. Although a client of mine did recently switch over and just paid a VA to transfer all of her courses into drop funnels. But that's the biggest thing is page load speed time, because so many people bounce. If it takes 4 seconds for your even 4, which that's faster than Kajabi and ClickFunnels usually load. If you only have 3 seconds, then your people are gone. So we're a pretty impatient society.
I know, right? We have the attention span of a mosquito, that you need to go in and actually get their attention and get them to actually do something.
Yeah, but beyond that, like it doesn't necessarily matter. It's really, really, really the words on the page that are going to make a difference at the end of the day for your sales. But then, making sure your page loads fast enough for them to see the words. That's the next step.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Dawn, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me. Can you please let everyone know how they can learn more about you and where they can find you?
Yes, absolutely. You can find me. My website is just dawnapuan.com. You can also find me at Instagram if you just search Dawn Apuan. That's where I like to play most, to share about life and copy, and I go live there frequently. So come check it out. Follow me. You can grab. I do also have a freebie. It's 15 proven copy keys for high ticket sales. It's a great ebook. If you want to download that, you can find it in my Instagram bio.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Great stuff. Dawn, thank you so much for joining me today. Love chatting with you. Just want to remind everyone that that Dawn's episode of the One Big Tip podcast is airing this Friday. And, please take a moment to listen to that as well, because it is equally as epic as this conversation. Dawn, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been great.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.